Good morning. You're watching Morning at NTV. On this Friday, I am hoping I make you uncomfortable enough to love the information I'm about to give you, because from 1st August, we started Breastfeeding Week. And I was reading this document saying that breastfeeding is the single most effective nutrition intervention for saving lives. And if practiced optimally, it could prevent 1 million child deaths each year. Then I think there's more reason why we should definitely discuss this. Joining me is a lactation consultant, Josephine Nalugo. Good morning.
Good morning, Flavia.
Welcome to Morning at NTV.
Thank you very much.
I'm looking forward to being a mother, and I'm hoping to not have trouble nurturing my child. And I'm saying this because just before the break I was sharing with you that a lot of people complain that they feel they're less of a mother because they're not able to breastfeed for one reason or another, which I think you could break down. But I think before we get in there, because there's a lot of men on this set, my director, on camera, on sound, and they may not really join this conversation if we don't start by telling them what perhaps ideally breastfeeding should be, look like, the value of it for mother and child. Let's start there.
Okay. Breastfeeding, as we mentioned, starting from 1st to 7th August is World Breastfeeding Week, and we are here to celebrate World Breastfeeding Week.
Yes.
The theme for this year is Breastfeeding, Foundation of Life. And as the theme says, I think we all need to have our babies start breastfeeding. WHO and UNICEF have the international standards of breastfeeding. Babies should be initiated on the breast within the first
international standards in this thing.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So babies should be initiated on the breast immediately after delivery, within the first hour of delivery.
Whoa.
So this really gives the babies the right start and the mothers the right start to breastfeed, and it goes on and on and on until. And then babies should also be breastfed exclusively for the first 6 months of their lives. That means from the first day to 6 months, only breast milk, no water,
I was about to say no
not
water,
anything except for medicine where it is required.
And given by the doctor, obviously.
Yes. So, and then of course we go on until breastfeeding and complementary feeding until 2 or 2.5 years or even beyond.
So Josephine, what you're saying from the first day they're born till 6 months,
Yes.
a baby can exist or survive fully on just breast milk?
Yes, for the first 6 months.
For the first 6 months.
Yes.
And we're not just saying that they can survive, it's good for them?
It is good for them, and that's what their tummies can really manage to digest, and also get the first immunization, get all the requirements for their bodies to develop the right way.
Okay. Yeah. So for now the mother, because that's nutrition for the child, it's good for the child. Yes. But what about the mother? So from what I'm told, your body ideally will help you when you're pregnant to sort of prepare you for that time to breastfeed, which means that everyone who's gotten pregnant and has a baby can breastfeed?
Yes. And this is where we need to prepare the mothers, to prepare them to breastfeed during pregnancy. When a mother conceives, she needs to be prepared.
It's not obvious.
It's not obvious. It's normal, but there are challenges which many mothers really face. And we need really to prepare them. We need to support them right from home. The fathers, the people at home, the health facilities where we go, and then the places of work as well.
Did you say fathers?
Yes,
we'll
fathers.
Come back to that. Yes. Yeah. So the health centers as well where they go.
Yes.
And so that includes teaching you how to hold a baby, how to breastfeed, what to eat. What's included in the training, sort of? The
training includes what a mother needs to feed while pregnant, the different foods that mother needs to feed on, balanced diet, and also, of course, going for antenatal care, knowing how to initiate breastfeeding when the baby is born. Yeah. Also, how to position and attach the baby, because positioning and attachment are very key when you're breastfeeding the baby. Because sometimes if the baby is not positioned well, they may not be able to breastfeed and get the breast milk out. And then sometimes mothers get engorged, like breasts gets filled up with milk because the babies are not able to suck out the milk. And then they get engorged, and then mastitis, and then problems, and then some of them get sore nipples, and then it becomes very difficult to really breastfeed when the mothers are experiencing this problem. So we really need to support them during this time.
So I've noticed new mothers, especially on that first day, having trouble actually breastfeeding the child, because maybe there's, ideally, in the way we say tewali mata, there's no milk. But I guess I'm just saying it from a naive point of view. So I don't think it's a small number. I think there's a lot of women who have trouble in that first day or first few hours to actually breastfeed. What happens there? Is it the issue of the child or is the mother?
I think it's both, because breastfeeding takes two people.
Yeah.
And this is where we need to really get the mothers prepared before they give birth. And we know the first milk, which is colostrum, is the first immunization to the baby. And it's already in, even on the first day.
Okay.
So as little as it is, it's the first immunization the baby gets. So we don't need to introduce anything, either glucose or water. We don't need to introduce anything like that. There is enough breast milk for this baby on the first day, and we can help this mother either express it out or position the baby very well in the breast so that they can be able to feed on that breast milk.
Okay, so for those who choose, because I was also reading that as much as we're discussing breastfeeding, the laws around breastfeeding, that it's also a choice for mothers.
Yeah.
To breastfeed their
It's
children.
right. And
Yes.
breastfeeding is a right as well. So a mother can choose to breastfeed or not to breastfeed. But from an informed point of view, I think one can take the best choice if they know that if I breastfeed my baby, these are the benefits. If I don't, these are the challenges I'm going to really be faced, and also my baby to face, because it takes both of them. The baby can benefit and the mother as well. But when not breastfed, baby can face challenges, and also the mother can also face challenges.
I want us, especially in this breastfeeding week, to maybe go around the workplace, because I think it's been a big discussion nowadays, because we even have, to a point, I'm forgetting the country where a member of parliament went in and actually breastfed her child while giving her motion. But outside of that, you said 6 months exclusive breastfeeding.
Yes.
I'm aware that the laws in my country and my workplace, 3 months is what I'm given as leave,
Yes.
maternity leave, and then I'm supposed to go to work, which means I'm not around my baby all day.
Yes.
So they're not, unless you're trying to tell me I can feed in the morning, head to work, if I have a long day, come back, of which babies' tummies are not able to wait for that long.
No.
So that means you're weaning the child off the breast milk at 3 months, you're able to, what happens there?
It all takes preparation.
Okay.
Between you and your employer. Because even when you have a right to maternity leave, what's your responsibility towards your employer?
Okay.
Write to them, inform them, because as they employ us, they should also provide breastfeeding friendly practices at the place of work. At least set up a breastfeeding room for the breastfeeding mothers who are at that place of work.
Okay.
And then mothers can come with their babies to work or prepare to pump or express the milk.
At the workplace?
At the workplace.
At the environment where the...
Yeah, at the workplace, and also store for your baby if the baby is left at home.
Okay.
Yes.
So I don't think that exists for most workplaces.
I don't know even for NTV whether we even have a babies at workplace program.
My boss is watching this with...
So and I think it would be, this is a very big opportunity.
Yes.
For me to really advocate for NTV.
Please.
And to have a small room where mothers can at least pump their milk. If we can get a place where mothers can come with their babies, it really helps, because it doesn't really help me as an employee to come to work. My 4 months baby, for example. I leave the baby at home, then come and do your work. I don't give you 100% output. But if I know my baby is well taken care of and is breastfeeding, I think you're better off and you'll be getting more benefits from me as your employee if I know my baby is well taken care of at my place of work.
When we talk about laws of breastfeeding in the workplace, what are we discussing? The right for what you've just talked about, access to an area, giving me time to go home and come back. What are the laws there?
The law is, like you mentioned, we have maternity leave in Uganda is 60 working days. But you can also be smart enough and also include your annual sick leave if you have it at your place of work. And then be able to keep time with your baby. So that's the law we have.
Well, that's all we have.
Yes. And fathers too are also given 4 days off when their wives deliver.
Yeah.
So they can also take opportunity of these 4 days, support their wife or their wives to be able to breastfeed within these days while they're at home off the duty.
So when we talk about breastfeeding in the workplace, these are just initiatives that can be introduced.
Yes.
So apart from, say, NTV deciding to have a special room and saying this, if you are a breastfeeding mother, you can have your baby come here. What else can be introduced in the workspace to encourage to nurture, breastfeeding?
Also educating the employees about breastfeeding, because many of us don't really know much in details how it takes commitment if I pump for my baby and store this milk for this baby. Some of them say, oh, I can really afford formula.
Yes.
And I don't have to really pump. But if you get to understand the challenges or the problems your baby can get and the risks the baby can really get while feeding on formula, then you can make a choice and pump your milk, store for your baby, and be able to feed on this milk while you're not with your baby.
So is this information given to me, the breastfeeding mother, or you're saying that we should give this information to everyone, for example, in the workspace?
First, of course, priority would be
the mother
who is expecting, and also the fathers who are expecting as well, because this is how they'll also be able to support their wives. But also the mother who gives birth and has a baby, and also the other employees.
Because I was about to tell you, for example, in this workspace, I have director, I have sound, I have camera. Most of these are men. I have about 2 women who are working with me. So what kind of information would we be dispensing to the men, for example, in my workplace, if I was to bring my child here to breastfeed?
For them to really understand their role as fathers, because even when they're not fathers today, they'll be fathers tomorrow, and they need to know how a second hand can be of help when one really has only their 2 hands. And then the father can come in, be able to either change the diapers, hold the baby when the baby is crying. When they get such information, they can be able to support their wives as well, and also their colleagues at workplace.
Okay, so before we break down the father's role, there's breastfeeding, but you've hinted here and there about pumping?
Yes.
Yes, pumping, which is still milk off of your breast milk into a bottle.
Yeah.
And you store. First of all, how long can you store this milk?
Okay. As per the international standards, breast milk can stay at room temperature for between 6 to 8 hours.
Oh, okay. So not like a week.
Not like a week, at room temperature.
Yeah.
But it can also stay in a refrigerator for 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
Even in a freezer from 1 month to 6 months, depending on...
Is that healthy?
It is. If you're able to pump and date your milk, store it according to the standards that are
But in
required.
a fridge or a freezer?
Yes. A refrigerator for 24 hours. And then in a freezer where the degrees don't change, they're constant. And you date your milk, I pump this today, tomorrow. So and there are also guidelines on when you bring out the milk, for example, from the freezer.
What do you do? Yeah,
what do you do?
Even I wouldn't drink water straight from
because you don't feed the baby on cold milk. You have either to warm it and then feed the baby. But we don't boil breast milk and we don't microwave it. No.
Fathers. Because a father might not know that it's not supposed to be microwaved.
No, we don't microwave the breast milk. We don't boil the breast milk. We just warm it. You get a container with hot water and then insert in the cup or the bottle which has breast milk. And then after you test it on your wrist and
I've seen this old school way. I thought it was just an old school way of doing it.
That's the standard way of doing it. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Parents knew what they were doing.
Exactly.
So you said cup or a bottle?
Yes.
The storage facilities, the tools, where the bottles or the cups need to be a certain...
They should be covered.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can't leave breast milk open. We need to really have it covered. Like for any food that we eat, we need to have
some food survives uncovered for some...
we have to really take caution because this is the health of babies and this is a very delicate food that we need to keep to its standards that we are.
Delicate means if I'm the one dispensing the breast milk, I have to be mindful of what goes into my body?
Exactly. So if you're smoking, you have to be really, and breastfeeding. Okay. Those two don't really match.
People do.
Sometimes
even alcohol. I've seen people drink when the baby's about 4 months.
A little bit of it doesn't hurt, but too much alcohol is not really good it can really go in the breast milk.
So there's, okay, so wait, that's too much alcohol, which means someone can have a glass of wine and still breastfeed.
Yes, you can have a glass of wine and still breastfeed.
So you're trying to tell me that doesn't go straight to
it's not
to the breast milk?
It's not as if you take 2 or 3 bottles of beer.
So I've seen, okay, again, this is how you, when you have one who's not a mother, they ask too many questions, but it's a good thing because you might not be a mom yet and you also need to know. I've seen someone say that when they pump their milk, there's a way they can test it to know whether it is friendly for the baby or not. Is that possible?
It is possible, like curiosity as a mother.
Oh, okay.
But if you follow the international standards of storage, that is the key point. Because we don't want to store this milk and leave it open. For example, if you remove it from the freezer and it is frozen, you have to thaw it and wait until it
cools down.
Cools down and you get it back. But when you feed your baby on that milk, if it's left over in the bottle or in a cup, it doesn't have to remain for over 2 hours. So if it goes over 2 hours, you have to pour it away.
Okay, so fathers, I've seen where couples will decide, when I go back to work or when I'm still home, I will pump, and you have your hours with the baby, and then obviously breastfeeding for me. That's one way of doing it. Yep. What's the other way of my partner supporting me during the breast feeding before they're able to maybe feed the child off anything else?
I think they can be able to feed as early as day 1. Because even holding the baby, because like when we do the skin-to-skin care,
yes,
it helps the baby to regulate the body's temperature, the baby's body temperature, the heartbeat. So if the father is not breastfeeding and the mother is, they can hold the baby skin to skin, keep close, and that interaction creates attachment and bonding. It's for both, actually. Even the sisters at home can do it. Even the brother to this baby can do it.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can only breastfeed your child. And I'm asking this because we're from an African society where we've heard of what we call odd stories as someone helping you breastfeed your child. I've particularly seen this case, but it was an emergency case because the mother had passed on and there was someone who was able to. But of course, the doctors went through a few things to allow this person be able to breastfeed the child because there had been a new mother. And I thought that was odd. I thought that was unacceptable.
Actually, that is called wet nursing. A time back in the olden days, mothers, even grandmothers, even aunties would do it. But in the days, in this era of HIV and AIDS,
you never know.
You don't.
Because they did subject her to tests and to all sorts of things.
You don't do it. And also, Ministry of Health has standards. We don't do wet nursing anymore. So a mother has to, the family can supplement this baby with something else, or even breast milk, but not, we don't really have donated breast milk in Uganda, where you find that there is a breast milk bank.
Wait, what?
Oh, yes. There are breast milk banks in developed countries, but we don't have here in Uganda.
Wait, so people just randomly donate breast milk?
Yeah, like we do donate blood. So, and breast milk is stored and kept and pasteurized and taken through the process until the final stage, and it can be...
No way.
It happens.
So if you are a mother, what happens then? You have more milk than you're giving your baby? Is that what happens?
Some mothers choose to keep donating even after breastfeeding if their babies have grown older.
Oh, wait, so how long can my body have breast milk? After I've given
it depends until how long you can breastfeed, because it's if you keep pumping even after 2-3 years, it keeps coming.
Wow.
Even breastfeeding, if you keep breastfeeding, you can breastfeed your baby until as long as you want.
Oh, wow. Okay, yes. So what they do is that they go just like I'll donate blood, but they donate breast milk.
Yes.
And it's stored. But we've talked about 24 hours, 48 hours.
But it's taken through a process.
Oh, okay.
Like, for example...
then who's given this milk? Those who, for some reasons, are not able to breastfeed?
For some reasons, like mothers who have babies who are preterm, who are born prematures. The mothers who choose not to breastfeed, but also either feed on donor milk, which we don't have here.
Yeah, again, so just remind people, we have blood donations, but we don't have that. But so tell me about those justifications for one not breastfeeding or not being able to breastfeed.
A mother who is not able to breastfeed may be by choice. They need to be taken care of.
So your body, you're telling me your body cannot, there's no way you can be a new mom and your body doesn't allow you breastfeed?
No, every
It has
mom,
never happened?
every mom can breastfeed.
Okay.
And they have all the potential to breastfeed.
Okay.
And that's the reason why we need to get them educated, give them support,
Yeah.
encourage them, because some of them choose not to breastfeed because there are many pressures.
Yes.
And they choose not to breastfeed because I have to return to work, or I'm
My
worried
body looks
my
a certain
body
way.
will change.
Yes.
So if we encourage them, give them the right information, then they'll be able to breastfeed.
So mothers with HIV
Yeah.
are not allowed to breastfeed, or there are guidelines?
There are guidelines
Okay.
where these mothers are on treatment throughout pregnancy, even during delivery. You know, the prevention of mother-to-child
I
transmission.
know, yes, delivery is
So,
that one.
they are given that treatment even when they deliver. Even the babies are also given treatment. So we encourage mothers to go for antenatal care. They're tested.
Yes.
If they're found HIV positive, the health center gives guidelines on how they can manage breastfeeding. But they can breastfeed for the first 6 months of life, exclusive, and also continue breastfeeding until 2.5 years.
Because I've seen when, you know, you're in the hospital and they're saying, why is that person breastfeeding when they have HIV? Maybe because people are not informed.
People are not informed,
Yeah.
but once the mother is on treatment,
Really?
they can be able to breastfeed.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. We're winding up, but I know the biggest conversation that's been online is how people are actually, saw a tweet this morning of someone saying, let mothers breastfeed in public if they want to. Because it's not even about wanting to. If your child is crying and they're hungry and you're in a taxi, Josephine, you have no choice but to breastfeed a child. And I know, funny enough, I was reading and I found out that in some states in America, it's illegal to breastfeed in public. I don't think it's illegal here.
I think we are lucky here in Uganda.
I don't think it's illegal. I'm not
illegal.
aware, but I don't think it's illegal.
It's not illegal.
It's not illegal.
It's very illegal in Uganda to breastfeed even anywhere, even in church or in a taxi. I don't see anyone hiding under a blanket while feeding.
These days they do.
Like us, if you're going to take tea, you take it open. Okay. Why do you have to cover your baby when you're breastfeeding? This is food. Just be decent enough.
Yes, I was about to say, is there a respectful way to do it though in public?
Yes, be decent enough. Breastfeed your baby in public. Don't inconvenience this baby.
Don't
wait
inconvenience
until
the people around you, no?
I mean, this is feeding. This baby has no schedule. If they want to feed, they want to feed.
Yeah. But because I've seen people who just top off and they're just breastfeeding, and perhaps you're in a church, and I get it, I get it, but you find the people around are, you know, thinking, okay, she could have just covered. So ideally it's allowed, of course it's legal, it's a good thing for the baby and for you, but as you said, just be decent.
Be decent enough.
Be decent
Don't
enough.
inconvenience people, but it's your right to breastfeed in public.
Okay, so as we wind up, just maybe you can just share in Breastfeeding Week what you'd want mothers to know, but also maybe you've spoken about being decent enough. Does what I wear also help in this breastfeeding period? Because some materials, maybe some clothes are tight. Does it matter though? It
matters because if you have an open dress, for example, in the front, where you can easily bring out your breast.
That helps.
That helps than having a round neck.
But the material won't do anything to my body.
Cotton would be preferable because you get
it's breathable.
Yes.
Okay.
So it helps when you have a breastfeeding friendly dress.
Yeah, so as we wind up, Josephine Nalugo, a lactation consultant, anything you want people to know in this Breastfeeding Week?
Just to get back to the people about how breastfeeding can prevent malnutrition and also how it ensures food security in the home, and how that malnutrition and food security can reduce the levels of poverty. So we need to really support the mothers. We need to get the fathers involved. We need to establish places of breastfeeding at workplace, and keep on the mantra supporting breastfeeding.
Josephine called out NTV that we have to get a space for breastfeeding mothers. But I think the biggest thing I've understood from this is that if you are a new mother, if you're pregnant, if you're thinking of becoming a mother, the best thing you and your partner can give yourself is information, which is available, I'm guessing, Josephine, everywhere. Yes. Hospitals, lactation consultants are in the country. Nutritionists, I think, can also guide you on where to go, what to eat, and for your baby as well. So get informed. That's it for Morning at NTV's Take Note, of course, for Breastfeeding Week. Have a good day.